Good afternoon, Niner fans. How we doing? It is Thursday, another day closer to Niner football. And this week, the 49ers, they got the Dallas Cowboys on the docket. And we all know the Dallas Cowboys are a big-time rival. And recently, there's been some news, that happened with the 49ers and the Cowboys right before the season started. As you remember, as you guys recall, 49ers traded away quarterback Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, during that time, it was a very shocking revelation. It was kind of a big breaking news. It was like, holy smokes, the 49ers, they decided to cut ties with Trey Lance. And a lot of people have made speculation that he was going to give intel and this and that. But that's what we really want to focus on today. But we'll get all into that, all the injury updates leading to Sunday's big game against the Cowboys. But before we do, I want to say what's up to everybody. How are we feeling? Do I mean the Cowgirls, Ray? Absolutely. We all know they're the Cowgirls. What's up, Christine? Debbie, what's good? Tej says, I know for a fact Dak is nervous. We added Hargrave. I'm sure he is. Josh says, what's up, Raj and the Faithful? What's up? Enrique, what's up, my man? How is everybody doing? Welcome to the show. Make sure you hit that like button when you enter. Be nice. Help the show out. Help the channel out. We're continuing to grow this YouTube channel. And shout out to all the new subscribers we added. We're doing a giveaway with Gold Bar Whiskey and Niners Nation on Instagram and 49ers Tailgate, a couple of my good friends. So go check that out. It's pinned on my Instagram page. We're doing like a Gold Bar Whiskey Joe Montana bottle giveaway. So check that out and appreciate the new subscribers that have, came from that giveaway. So we'll continue to do giveaways as we always do. We've done a lot this year, but I need to maybe do a few more. But we got some in the works. Can't just do giveaways every day, right? We got to post content. It can't just be a giveaway page. But we'll have a couple more coming up, I know, in the near future. But how's everybody feeling? Ray says he bought a Dak jersey to wash the car. You got to love it. You got to love it. He bought a Dak jersey to use as a towel to wash the car. That's pretty funny. But the man of the hour we got to talk about, it's not even the starting quarterback, Dak Prescott. It's the Cowboys' third-string quarterback. It's the Cowboys' third-string quarterback. So I want to appreciate you. Medulla Oblongata says I'm the best 49ers fan page. I truly appreciate it. I needed to hear that today. It's been a long week. So thank you for that. I thank you for that. Let's talk about the 49ers' third-string quarterback. By the man named, not the 49ers third-string quarterback, sorry, the Cowboys third-string quarterback, Trey Lance. Did you hear about this? I know we talked about this briefly a couple of days ago, but today Ed Werder basically he talked about that the Cowboys are leaning on on Trey Lance for some insight. They're going through film breakdowns and things of that nature. So, I want to talk about, what do you guys think? Do you think Trey Lance can actually give the Cowboys any real intel on playing the 49ers? I mean, again, Kyle Shanahan, he's such a good coach. Like, he's going to change things up. He's going to throw stuff out there that Trey Lance has never even seen during his time with the 49ers. And with the 49ers, he was just developing. It's not like he had a full grasp of this offense. I'm sure he'll know tendencies, certain calls, this and that. And we talked about, with Trent Williams, right? With Trent Williams, last year there was people that says he was tipping plays. People knew he was tipping plays. They knew what to expect. But guess what? They still couldn't stop the 49ers. As much as you want to sit here and say, all the plays, right? All the plays. Sorry about that. Like, you want to sit here and say all the plays, but just because you know the plays doesn't mean you can stop them. Are you going to be able to stop Deebo Samuel? Are you going to be able to stop Brandon Ayuk? Are you going to be able to stop Christian McCaffrey? Like, you might know what they're doing. You might know the formations. Are you really going to be able to stop these guys? And Kyle Shanahan's going to be so prepared. Debbie says it, right? Kyle isn't going to be prepared for that. Like, come on. And they asked them, the reporters, shout out to the reporters yesterday. They did a really good job. They didn't ask any silly questions yesterday. I felt like the media was really honed in. 49er beat reporters were really honed in on the questions. They said straight up, my boy Cam Inman, Larry Krueger was there, and Grant Cohn, they all asked really good questions. And it was based off of, like, do you feel Trey Lance has the insight and the intel to give the Cowboys. And Kyle was straight up with it. He says, look, man, we're going to be prepared. He can give them all this stuff that they want during film reviews, but every coach is going to have to make a game plan, and it is what it is. Like, the 49ers also have Anthony Brown, who played for the Cowboys for several years. Like, at the same notion that we can sit here and say that Trey's going to give all these secrets to other teams, right, about the 49ers, we can do the same thing with Anthony Brown, right? When we play the Cowboys, like, hey, how's the Cowboys defense lined up? How is it going to be, playing against the Dallas Cowboys? So these two teams, they know each other. You can watch film. That's the best way to look at stuff. Is during film reviews. So I feel like at the end of the day, man, Trey, he can sit here and say what he wants to say to the Niners. Maybe revenge on his mind. Maybe he wants revenge, and he's going to try to, give them all the intel. But it really doesn't matter because Trey's not even going to be playing. It's Dak Prescott, and it's the execution, and it's going to be down to the head coaches to make the adjustments during the game. I'm not worried that Trey Lance is giving them intel again because Kyle Shanahan. I guarantee you, Kyle Shanahan's going to line up every way that they think the Niners are lining up. Like, they're going to look at all the film, and they're probably going to see the Niners come out, line up in a certain position, and they're going to be like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. And Kyle's going to do the exact opposite. That's Kyle Shanahan. He's game planning for this. It's a chess match for Kyle, and we all know Kyle's the master of chess, right? He always plays chess when people are playing checkers, right? That expression. Kyle's going to come prepared, man, and I can't wait. Enrique says it's a great test for defensive coordinator Steve Wilks. It is absolutely going to be a test, and that's a guy that I feel like a lot of people aren't really gung ho on Steve Wilks, and that's okay. I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, you're not a Niner fan if you don't like Steve Wilks," because you're right. He hasn't really showed that he's elite yet. There's been some hitches in his getup, right, so to speak. He hasn't been perfect. He hasn't really been perfect yet, but he's getting there. Again, what did we talk about earlier this week is I feel like Steve Wilks is still trying to figure out how to rev up the engine. The 49ers have so many good players on defense, right? This is probably the most talent Steve Wilks has ever had to coach. Like, this is the best team this man's ever walked into, and he probably came in and he's like, oh, that's a Nick Bosa. Oh, that's a Fred Warner. That's a Dre Greenlaw. Like, well, it's like you walk into a car shop and you see the most exotic cars, and they're like beautiful, and they're like, and you've never driven one before. You're like, oh, that's a Ferrari. Oh, that's a Porsche. Like, I remember the first time I walked in to a car dealership and I saw like a beautiful exotic car I never drove before. I was like, how do you even? And you first drive it, you're like scared. You're just cautious. You're just trying to get through it without messing it. And then you start testing the limits. You start testing the engine. You start going 100 miles an hour on the freeway. I haven't done that. We won't say that if there's any cops on here. You know what I mean? Like, he's still figuring out how to use this defensive power to its most capable abilities. Like, he still has to figure out how to get the most out of it. And you're right. I feel like this is a big test for Steve Wilks. This is the best team I feel like the 49ers have played so far early in this season. It's not a hot take. It's the best team the 49ers have played so far this season. And it's going to be a tough test. Dak, as much as we want to crap on Dak, he struggled against the Niners. He's thrown one interception this year. They got CeeDee Lamb. He's a hell of a receiver. They got Brandon Cooks. They got Pollard. They got some dogs on that team. So this is going to be a tough matchup. They have a really good offensive line. Steve Wilks, he's got to bring his A game. They got to bring his A game, right? They absolutely do. Mizael says, what's the real injury with Elijah Mitchell? I mean, from what we understand, it's a knee issue. He had a knee injury last week during practice. And, with him, he probably flared something up. And it's unfortunate. Elijah Mitchell is a guy that you love him when he's on the field. But when he's on the field is not very often. And that's a tough thing for him, and that's why the 49ers needed to make sure they had to get a guy like CMC because they needed a premium running back for this system. They never had a premium running back. Like, don't get me wrong. Jeff Wilson was fun. Raheem Mostert was cool. Matt Breida was a dog. Like, they've had some really good guys, but they weren't great. They weren't exceptional. They weren't the best of the best. CMC is a cut above every single running back that Kyle Shanahan has on this roster. It's not a slight to anybody. They've had some really good players at running back, and I respect the hell out of everybody that they had because they were all late round picks, 7th round picks, undrafted, and they made a name for themselves. Like Raheem Mostert, guy was a special teamer. He bounced around the league, and the 49ers turned him into a pretty damn good player, right? 4 touchdowns in the playoffs. We remember that game. Green Bay, it was the Raheem Mostert show. So the Niners have had some good running backs, but they have never had an elite player like CMC at running back. This is a phenomenal player. He's the MVP. We all know it. We all know he's the MVP front runner. We've been sitting here all week saying that, and it's just special to watch him. So we shall see how this week plays out. But the 49ers have a phenomenal team, and the Dallas Cowboys have a phenomenal team. And it feels like it's going to be like a game of the year type game. I keep saying it all week. Like, this is going to be one of the best games of the early season and maybe the whole season. It's a Goliath versus Goliath type matchup. It's not a David Goliath. This is 2 premium heavyweights going at it. Ray says, do you think it'll be the most watched game this year? It's going to be up there. I don't know if it's going to be the most watched, but man, both of these teams have huge markets. The Cowboys market is massive. The 49ers market is massive. So it's going to be pretty much up there. I will say it's going to probably be top 3 in total watch, viewership in the NFL. It's going to be up there, You got to look at other teams that have high ratings. The Chiefs have high ratings. The Super Bowl, obviously, everybody's watched the Super Bowl, but this is must-see TV on Sunday. It absolutely is must-see TV on Sunday. So Blood Moon says the Cowboys are hyping this as a playoff game, but the Niners view it differently, which is interesting. Curious to know if they're suppressing their excitement. Maybe they are suppressing their excitement, but I feel like the 49ers know it's business, and it's a whole different vibe when it's the playoffs. And right now you can't take any game for granted. And I think the 49ers know it. And again, we talked about this earlier this week, is the 49ers are just so focused this year. They're so focused 1 week at a time. Like, we can't think ahead. You can't think about the playoffs because we haven't got to the playoffs yet. But the Cowboys, this is a playoff type game for them because they lost to the Niners in the playoffs the last 2 years. And I think for them, there's a little bit of a revenge factor. And that revenge factor is very, big for them. And it's going to drive them in this game. It's one of the driving factors that the Cowboys have coming into this game. And it's, a playoff type game because the Cowboys know in order to get far into the season, into the playoffs, and, the Super Bowl, hopefully for them, is where their goal is, right? For every team. But for the Cowboys, they know they got to beat a team like the Niners, because if they don't, it's just going to keep residing in their head. It's going to be something that they mentally just keep having in their mind. And they got to get this, the monkey off their back, right? They have to get the monkey off their back. But it's one of those things that's always going to eat at them if they can't beat the 49ers. So, yeah, this is kind of a playoff game. It's going to be a revenge game for them. And in order for the Cowboys to get, to that ultimate goal of getting a Super Bowl, they need to also, get the number 1 seed. And 49ers, we've been talking about, they have to get the number 1 seed, right? They need to be the top team in the league. They got to get that number 1 seed so they have home field advantage. I feel like the Cowboys are probably thinking the same thing. You don't want to drop back 2-0 or 2 games in the loss column to the 49ers, right? You don't want to have the Niners being up on you 2 games, because towards the end of the season, those wins start mattering really big in terms of seeding, and that's a big thing. You don't want to have to play on the road every week. And the 49ers, right, when we went to the playoffs the last couple of years, there was times where we had some home games, but the years that we had to go on the road and the road and the road, it takes a toll on you. And I think the Cowboys know that. Although I know teams can win on the road, and Niners did it, but it takes a toll on you. And I think this does have playoff atmosphere for the Cowboys, because this is a team that's really hurt them in the playoffs the last couple of years. But I feel like there's some playoff level atmosphere for the 49ers. This is a big game. You can't lose these games. But this is, I think, for the Cowboys, more of a must-win game than the Niners. But I feel like the Niners know they have to win this if they want to keep pace for, getting that number 1 seed. Because the Eagles, they're also undefeated this week. And they're going to, if they win this week and the Niners lose, they're going to be a game up on the Niners. Although the Eagles have a tough stretch. They got a tough schedule. Our schedule gets a little bit tougher down the stretch, but Eagles got some tough ones coming up. So, they got to try to keep winning these games. Early games matter for everybody. I mean, every game matters. But, man, these early games are important to get off to a huge start, because you're going to get tired. You're going to lose some games that you really probably shouldn't have later down the line. So these early games are so important. Yeah, home field advantage is everything, Ray. My man 49ers throwback says Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy is greater than Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. I mean, it's been proven over the last couple of years. Miguel says this game is Brock Purdy wins on Sunday night on prime time. He will make his name for himself, and nobody can talk shit about it. I want to see Brock Purdy go out there and have a game of his life type, performance. I want to see Brock just dog walk, just dominate. 3 touchdowns, 300. I want to see Brock be that guy. I agree with you, Miguel. I feel like if Brock can go out there for the world to see on Sunday Night Football, everybody tuned in. This is the game of the week. Everybody's tuned in for Sunday Night Football, right? Waiting all week for a Sunday night. Everybody's eyes are on this game. If they see Brock Purdy ball out, there's not going to be any denying how good he is, right? Because I think a lot of people, they see the 49ers. Not a lot of people watch the games, right? There's a lot of casual fans out there. They see Brock Purdy. They see, he was the last pick in the draft. They see, look at the 49ers roster. CMC, BA, Debo, Kittle. It's easy to sit there and assume, right? It's easy to assume, the 49ers offense carries them. Like, if you don't really watch the game. But the NFL world will get to finally see Brock Purdy on a stage like this, and they're going to see he's that dog. And that's what I want to see from Brock this week. And I don't doubt he's going to, go crazy this week. I think Brock's going to have a Brock Purdy type game, which is a great game. He's going to be efficient, and they're going to score the ball over 30 times. They're going to score over 30 points. I really feel Brock's going to show the world, like, I'm not a sucker ass, He's not a sucker. Brock's going to show he's not a chump. And everybody's going to not worry about his draft status. And again, and I hate to use the name, Tom Brady, people doubted him for a long time. Oh, well, he's just lucky. Oh, he just has a good defense. Oh, well, he has a good coach. The excuses came for Tom Brady when he first was in the league. Oh, they have a top 5 defense. But you know what? Tom Brady, every year he got better. He made those around him better. He was the team. And again, I'm not saying Brock Purdy's Tom Brady, but if he keeps doing this, he will be. He will be the next, wow, I can't believe nobody drafted this guy. He's just smart. He wins. He's charismatic. He's got, good poise on the field. He's good, man. And I think the world will see it. I mean, we talk about this so many times that Brock Purdy has the trust between him and Kyle, right? He has that trust from Kyle Shanahan. That's something that is so hard to get in this league. If your quarterback and head coach have a bond and have a good relationship, you're going to go so far in this league. But if you don't, it's hard to really see a team taking off because your head coach has to be able to buy in and trust your starting quarterback. Because your starting quarterback's your leader of your offense. He's your captain on that offense. He's the guy that the team's looking for and trusts. And you got to look towards the quarterback and head coach relationship. And we've said that so many times that when you don't have that relationship, it's hard to become a championship caliber team. Like, you look back in the history of the NFL, it's hard to really find a coach and a quarterback that didn't get along and won a Super Bowl. It's not easy to go through the history and say, oh man, this coach and this player hated each other, but they were just, despite it, won a Super Bowl. Like, you look at teams that won a Super Bowl, you're like, oh man, the head coach and the quarterback were a vibe. They were absolutely locked in, So. Yeah, Enrique says, Brock ain't no chump. He's a dog. Let's take a look at some of these comments. Appreciate all the comments. Christine says, Brock having to ball out there on the field. I love it. I can't wait for him to ball out. Miguel says, Richard Sherman said we have to come out on Sunday and punch them in the mouth and see how they respond. I like that. I think that's true. Again, the 49ers are bullies. They're a physical team. So are the Cowboys. When you got 2 bullies out there, the first one to strike, is setting the tone. 49ers, if they come out there and they set the tone, the Cowboys have to see if they can respond to that. But again, same thing. If the Cowboys come out and try to bloody the lip, the Niners are going to have to respond. But I feel like if the 49ers could come out first and throw that haymaker, throw that big punch first, you got them staggering. And then if you can get them staggering, can they balance? Can they counter? That's the key. And I think you're right. The 49ers have to come out very strong on this game and exert their dominance. I feel like they really do. So we'll see how it goes. I think the 49ers definitely are the stronger team. They're the more physical team, but we can't take the Cowboys lightly. They're a good team, man. At the end of the day, we all know the Dallas Cowboys are a tough team. They've played us close these last 2 years, right? Susan says, how amazing would it be to get a shutout? Probably dreaming, but I would probably watch the replay 50 times. If the 49ers got a shutout this week, we definitely watching that thing over and over and over again. That would be crazy because this Cowboys team is good. Like we said, Dak Prescott, Pollard, they got CeeDee Lamb, they got Micah Parsons. They got a dog squad, man. They got a really good team. It's a pretty even matchup, honestly. If you really go down the list, head coach, O line, D line, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running back. Like if you go down the line, man, pound for pound, it's a very evenly matched team. So if the 49ers were able to get a shutout, that'd be a crazy victory over Dallas. But I don't think so. It's definitely wishful thinking. But we can dream, right? We can dream. Let's see. If we can get pressure on Dak, it's game over. Yeah, I agree. You got to get pressure on that man. You got to make. You have to make Dak uncomfortable. You're right. I mean, in the NFL, any quarterback is susceptible to pressure. Right? If you make them uncomfortable, they're going to start second guessing. They're going to rush passes. They're going to make mistakes, and that's it. Bottom line is, you cause uncertainty. You have to cause. You cause the uncomfortable environment for a quarterback, and that's it. Pressure. You're absolutely right. They have to get pressure on him, Tej. Let's see. Blood Moon says, I'm calling it right now. The Niners will exploit the Cowboys' desire to win by shutting them down quick and fast to break their mental. That's it. You got to get to them quick because you're right. It's about getting in their head. The 49ers are good at doing that. They're good at getting teams, frustrated and pissed. They're good at getting inside their head. They're good at, really mentally breaking down teams because they're so physical. When you have to go up against a physical team, it kind of like just breaks you down and you get tired. That's why I feel like the 49ers are such a good team. Second in the first half, sometimes you see the score, it's kind of close, and you're like, oh, man, 49ers got to pull away. They should be winning by more. But it's because they're imposing their will. And by the third quarter, fourth quarter, these teams are so tired, they can't keep up with the 49ers. The 49ers are so disciplined in terms of getting their body in the, peak performance position, right? Like, look at the guys like Bosa and CMC and Ayuk. Like, these guys are Jack, Fred Warner, and they can go these 4 quarters and not necessarily look like they're tired. These other teams huffing, puffing, hands on the hips. 49ers are just monsters, and they're built different, squad full of dogs, like we always say. So if it's hard to break down the 49ers, it's hard to really make them tired and mentally wear them down because they're the aggressors. But the times they lose, it's because they make mistakes, and their quarterback was making mistakes, whatever. But we ain't gonna talk about that. We don't have that quarterback anymore. We have a quarterback that doesn't make too many mistakes, and when he does, it's very surprising, and I love it. Ray says, is Purdy a top 5 quarterback as of right now? I think he's close. I think he's at least a top 10. I mean, you got to respect the guys at the top, right? You got Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. Those guys, you got to give them their credit. And Joe Burrow, I know he's struggling right now, but he's still a top 10. He's still one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I'm not going to, I know he's struggled off the gates right now after he got paid. He's looking more like Macaulay Culkin, but Joe Burrow's still a dog. Lamar Jackson, man, the guy's proven himself this year. I think Purdy's climbing that list. I think he's definitely a top 10, and it's hard to say he's not. I know people are going to say, oh, he's not. Like the list yesterday from The Ringer said he's top 25. Number 25, that's just balderdash, man. That's crazy to say Brock Purdy's 25th ranked quarterback. He's been killing it. I mean, just look at his stats, But again, Brock will continue to evolve and continue to prove people wrong. So. Ray says, do I believe the Cowboys have a better secondary? Well, if they had Diggs still, absolutely. Their secondary is just better by far in a way with Diggs. But I think it's close, without Diggs. I think the 49ers secondary is good, but I feel like the depth of the 49ers secondary has been kind of, that's the tough part is I feel like the 49ers secondary, it's good, they're starters, but depth-wise, when you have to start leaning on Ambry Thomas, it's a little stressful, right? That's when it gets really bad. I think Mooney Ward is one of the top cornerbacks in the league, in the NFC at least, and I feel like Lenore's still rising. He's a good player. When he's locked in, he makes some mental lapses. He's young. He's going to make some mistakes here and there. Oliver's been better than what we've, given him credit for, but, they make their mistakes. But we're going to see. It's a test, and I feel like both of these teams, their secondaries, are really helped by their defensive line. Both teams have such good defensive linemen. Like if you look at their premium edge rushers, right? You got Micah Parsons and Nick Bosa, two of the top, man, two of the top in the league. They're both defensive player of the year type kind of players, and both of those guys help out the secondary in so many ways by getting to the quarterback. But the other guy on the 49ers, man, Javon Hargrave is monster. We've talked about him a lot this year. He's creating havoc. He's been, earning his money very well. He's proven that he's worth every cent that they gave him. And I feel like this is going to be an X factor for the 49ers on defense is Hargrave. The addition of this guy is massive. They didn't have a guy like this. It was Armstead really that was able to really get into in that backfield last year. And before that, the year before, it was DJ Jones. DJ was a force in that interior. And now I think with Hargrave, that is going to be another big strength that the Cowboys are going to have a hard time, going up against. I think Javon Hargrave is going to be the X factor on defense for the 49ers. And I don't think a lot of people are saying that. Obviously, Bosa, Fred Warner, Hufanga, all the big star players, they're all great. But I feel like people are still sleeping on Hargrave. It's something that I've noticed. And I've watched all the games over and over and over. We have all watched the replays. I've saw all the film, on all these games that we've played so far. And Javon Hargrave, man, he always sticks out. He's always in the backfield. He causes so much problems for quarterbacks. And this is a guy that I think is going to be the absolute X factor against Dak Prescott on Sunday. He's going to be the guy. Yeah. Micah Parsons told Cowboy Nation to show up on Sunday. Ooh, did he really? Oh, okay. Oh, man. I can't wait now. I can't wait. 49ers throwbacks is T.O. is picking the Niners. Woo! This man played on both teams. He played with the Niners and the Cowboys. T.O.'s picking the Niners. Wow, I love it. That's my boy. When he was with the Niners, he was a straight dog. But him and Jeff Garcia just didn't see eye to eye. Smells like a rat, must be a rat. If you know, you know. You remember that? When Jeff Garcia and T.O. had their little beef? And T.O., he questioned him a little bit, if you know what I mean. And he said, if it smells like a rat, looks like a rat. And he went to the Cowboys, and he was still a dog on the Cowboys team. But that's pretty cool that T.O.'s picking the Niners. We know where his heart lies. Blood Moon says, we cannot let Thomas in at all. You're right. And good news today is the 49ers. Let's talk about their injury updates. They had some really positive news on the injury front. So as we know, Mooney Ward was dealing with a heel injury. He came back to practice today. Actually, everybody came back to practice today, except Elijah Mitchell. He's dealing with a knee injury. John Feliciano has a concussion. He's still, dealing with that. But the good news is Deebo Samuel, he was in practice today. Brandon Ayuk practiced today. I don't know why he was listed on there. Mooney Ward, like we said, the heel injury, he was in practice today. Dre Greenlaw, who's been dealing with the ankle injury the last 2 weeks, he was in practice today. And Jawan Jennings, this is critical. Jawan Jennings was in practice today. And Jawan Jennings, ladies and gentlemen, has been dealing with a shin injury. He didn't play last week because of it, but he is practicing today. That is great news. The biggest news, though, is Mooney Ward returning to practice, right? I think that was great news for the 49ers. They need to make sure they have their top cornerback against CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks and the Cowboys. That's huge news, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but, I mean, if Ambry Thomas gets in this game, like Blood Moon says, we are not looking too hot, right? If Ambry Thomas has to cover of CeeDee Lamb, if Moon, let's say, for example, that Mooney Ward wasn't able to play this game and you had Ambry Thomas starting, CeeDee Lamb would have a record-breaking game. I would say that. I would say CeeDee Lamb would drop some monumental, like 300-yard receiving type game on Ambry Thomas. No disrespect to Ambry, but can't hang with CeeDee Lamb, man. I would be scared. But the good news is Mooney Ward is back at practice today. Let's hope he can play on Sunday. We need all hands on deck, man. All hands on deck. Julius Holloway says Ilm Manning is back on the Niners. Return of the Manning. Yeah, it's good, man. He was a practice squad guy. He got poached by the Cardinals, and the Niners got him back. So good news. I like that. He's a good prospect. It's a great player to develop. We all know the 49ers need offensive linemen. I like what he brought to the table this offseason in training camp. I think all Niner fans were happy to see that they brought him back to the practice squad. So 49ers throwback says, if Ambry Thomas continues to have a bad game and make mistakes, I could see the 49ers moving on from him. No, you're absolutely right, throwback. I mean, they spent a third-round pick on the guy, and he just really hasn't looked like that guy that they expected. They thought he was going to be a starting cornerback, like a very good starting quarterback in this league, and he hasn't hit. And, when you get rid of a guy like Trey Lance like they did, then there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that the 49ers would not waste the second and cut ties with Ambry Thomas if they absolutely had to. You're right. That's a good point. I don't think you're wrong on that. I think if the 49ers know they don't have something with this guy, they'll cut bait with him because you got to have strong corners. Right now they need depth, so you have to keep them. I get it. But Womack's coming back. Hopefully Darrell Luther. I think if Darrell Luther is the guy that they envision him to be when he finally comes and plays, then they can afford to lose Ambry Thomas. Because right now we don't know if Darrell Luther is going to be worth anything, right? If he's going to be even worth a blood nickel. So right now they have to play Ambry because they kind of don't have any depth. And that's on them for getting rid of Jameson, Quantrez Knight, right? He didn't make the final roster, so those guys got poached up. And they're really good, talented players. But they committed to Ambry because he was the high draft pick. So you got to give him a chance and see what he has. But right now he's showing you he has nothing. So you're absolutely right with that throwback. That the fact of the matter is the 49ers are going to give him his opportunities. And if he can't play worth the lick, he gone. He gone, baby. Susan says, I was listening to the radio earlier, and they were saying that the faithful is not really showing out at Levi's Stadium. Empty seats and quiet. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's been a vibe. I feel like it's been packed house. I feel like the game I went to, I wasn't there for the Cardinals game, so I can't speak to that. Maybe people didn't want to watch the Cardinals. But the game I went to Thursday night, Giants, it was rocking and rolling. It was a vibe. Seats were jam-packed. I feel like it was a good experience. I don't know, in my opinion. I'm always yelling and screaming, so maybe I'm just hearing my own voice. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about other fans, but you know me, I'm always screaming and yelling. Come home with a sore throat and a cough for a couple of days because I'm shredding my vocal cords, but that's just me. I can't speak for everybody else. I will say this, though. I am disappointed. I see a lot of fights at the stadiums this year, and that's something that needs to stop. Like, we talked about this last week when I was on Larry Kruger's show. Those fights got to stop, man. It's getting out of control. It's so stupid. Throwbacks is I say that because the 49ers did give Ambry Thomas chances. He's not taking advantage of it. No, 100%. That's it. If you're given the chances, you have to take advantage of the ops, right? We always say, take advantage of the ops. That's what Richard Sherman used to tell these guys. Take advantage of every opportunity you get because you may not get opportunities down the line. And if you really think about it, it's a business, and they're going to give you opportunities. And once they stop, you might be screwed. Like, you may not get another opportunity. Once you start failing, it's like in the real world, in your work, right? Your boss might give you some opportunities, and if you let them down, if you let your company down, they're going to stop giving you big opportunities. Like, if you want career advancement, when they give you those small opportunities, you have to deliver on them because then they're like, oh, I can trust this guy. I could trust this woman. I can trust this person, and I can keep giving them big tasks, and they'll rise to the occasion. But when they give you tasks and you fail, I don't know if I can trust this person. I'm going to scale back on giving opportunities. Let's go see if this lady can take advantage of the opportunity I give them. So you're right. In any job situation, and the football is their job, you get an opportunity and you have to make the most of it. And Ambry Thomas has not taken advantage. It's kind of interesting. I like this topic because if you guys listen to the Richard Sherman podcast the other day, right? Him and Jimmy Ward was on his podcast. We talked about this last night, but God, man, I really loved that interview. It was so good. I just couldn't get enough of it. I was like, wow. I was like, man, Jimmy Ward is so good, to be in an interview because he's so real. He's so raw, uncut. He just speaks his truth, right? And he said the same thing. He goes, as a veteran, they start squeezing you out. They start squeezing you out because they can find someone that's cheaper, that's younger, that they can pay and take advantage of these players. Like with Jimmy, it was getting to the point where they're like, all right, you can either start here, you can play here, or you don't play at all, or you don't want to start. And Jimmy's like, all right, he just wanted to play safety, right? The point was he just wanted to play safety. And the 49ers were nickel and diming him playing him at this position. And it was weird because Jimmy's like, look, man, I signed up to play safety. You're paying me this money, so I know I got to play. But if you're not going to play me at the position I want to play so I can showcase myself because I'm a free agent this offseason, then you're just screwing with my money. You don't want to be getting your money screwed with no matter what you do. So I feel like, again, the business side kind of rears its head. And if you watch that interview, there was an interesting point where Richard Sherman was talking about how, when he asked him straight up, and he goes, and then Jimmy Ward said, hey, look, there was a point in the Tampa game, Ambry Thomas went down. He hurt his ankle, but he wasn't he didn't get injured. He was just had a sore ankle, and they were going to take him out. And they were like, yo, Jimmy, play cornerback. Jimmy Ward was safety. You made him transition to nickel. He hasn't played cornerback, didn't get any practice reps at cornerback. He didn't do any training camp at cornerback, and he's playing with a broken hand. And you're telling this man to go play cornerback with one hand? And he's like, bro, what about Ambry? It was such a weird situation. They were babying Ambry. They were shielding Ambry from the league because I think they realized he's just not the guy we envisioned. He hasn't developed to where we wanted. Oh, we'll just use the ankle injury to be the excuse. And go play corner. And they were taking all the starters. They were taking all the players out, but they're leaving Jimmy in, who's a 9-year vet on this team, and they're kind of disrespected him. So it's a business. It's crazy. And like Jimmy was saying, he says, early in my career, whatever opportunity I was getting, I was trying to make the most of it. But as you get older, your opportunities get very limited, and they try to squeeze you out. So, yeah, good point. With Ambry Thomas, he's not making the most of those opportunities, and he'll probably be gone soon. Somebody said, Throwback says, proud of Kinlaw. That's another guy. He got a lot of opportunities, but he could never reach his potential because of injuries. And now this year, he's healthy, and they're giving him opportunities, and he is making the most of his opportunities. So shout out to Kinlaw. It's nice to see him playing pretty well and being productive and being a contributor. At the end of the day, Javon Kinlaw is a contributor of this team. That's what you just want him to contribute. He absolutely has been. So, Ray, do you think Justin Fields would be succeeding with the 49ers? It's a good question. As we look back at that draft, I know a lot of us wanted Justin Fields. A lot of us wanted Trey Lance. A lot of us wanted Mac Jones. Everybody was on a different quarterback. There's people that wanted Zach Wilson. That quarterback class was crazy. I think ultimately it ended up working for us. They found Brock Purdy because I think they realized Trey might not be the guy. But I don't think Justin Fields would have worked with the 49ers. And I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying that. He's just not a Kyle Shanahan type of guy. I just don't think. And I think that's why Kyle didn't take Justin Fields. I know we all wanted him. We saw the talent. We saw the running abilities, the 4.5 speed, the quick speed. He's such a great runner. We envisioned, oh, my God, look at him scramble to the right, drop a pass to Debo or something like that. But I don't think Justin Fields would have fit in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Now that we look at it, now that we see it, now that we see what Brock can do, you got to have a quick, indecisive type quarterback. You got to make those quick reads. Blitz is coming at you. You can't be, tunnel vision. You can't have the happy feet. You got to be able to boom, distribute the ball, extend the plays if you need to, and be just efficient. And that's what Brock does. And that's what the quarterback of Shanahan's system needs to be able to do. Process everything, pre-snap, see your reads. And as good as of an athlete Justin Fields is, he's a great runner. I don't think that he gets enough credit for the ability that he has as a running quarterback. He's so good mobility-wise, but as in terms of a quarterback reading a defense, he's just not there yet. I don't know if he ever will be. And I don't think that he would have worked in Kyle's system. Looking at it now, we can look back and use hindsight. Maybe during the draft that year, I remember sitting there going, oh, my God, we should have got Justin Fields. Everybody wanted him. And, I like Trey. I liked it. I thought that was a great pick because at the end of the day, I remember I was sitting there saying, well, as long as it's not Mac Jones. But looking at the body of work so far and seeing how everybody's played in the league, I think the 49ers wouldn't have succeeded with Justin Fields or Trey Lance. I really don't. So I think at the end of the day, we're just lucky to have Brock Purdy. And the other thing is, too, with Justin, I just don't see him taking enough accountability. There was, when he was a rookie, he had the sour attitude. He's called out coaches before. He just has not really seemed like he has what it takes to be a leader of the 49ers. Maybe he might be able to lead another group of players. To me, look at Brock, man. He takes accountability. There was a game, he didn't have a bad game, but he said, oh, it's my fault. It was a game where he missed the deep passes, and people are like, oh, look, he can't hit the deep passes, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, Brock Purdy took accountability for that, and that's what makes him good because he's a leader and he knows it. And on the field, he's tough. Like Trent Williams has spoken highly about this man so many times. Remember last year he called out Trent Williams. Like who, as a rookie, to come in and sit there and look Trent Williams stone cold in the face and say, "Shut up." That takes a lot. That takes a big ass man to do that because look at Trent Williams. You get in that man's face, you getting clocked. Brock Purdy got in Trent Williams' face. So absolutely, man. I don't think Justin Fields would have panned out for the 49ers. It's a good question. It's a great debate. I know we can sit here and talk about that all day. That's something that Niners Twitter loves to talk about. So, Ray says, imagine if we got Parsons that draft. Absolutely. I mean, looking back, again, hindsight, 49ers probably should have stayed where they were and got Micah Parsons. Oh, man. Blood Moon says, yeah, Zach Wilson, he got benched for pushing off the blame. Yeah, he was immature. You know, a lot of these guys, you got to remember they're young, 21, 22. It's hard for them to take accountability. You know, when you're at your job and people criticize you, when you first start something, it's hard to be, taking criticism, right? Constructive criticism. Sometimes some people are just good. They're like, okay, I'll work on that. You tell me what it is. But some people take it so personal. Like if they say you need to be better at this, you're like, whoa, so you don't think I'm good? And they internalize it so much. And everybody processes those things differently. So in terms of quarterback, mentally, if someone says, well, you're not doing this right, you're either gonna say, okay, I'll work on it, or what you mean? I'm good. What, you don't think I'm good? So it just depends on how players, perceive things and mentally deal with it. And you see the difference between a guy like Brock Purdy. If people tell him he's not doing good, he'll say, okay, I just got to get better at it. I'll figure it out. But then there's other players like Justin Fields. He gets defensive. Oh, well, it's not my fault. It's the coaches. We can't have that sucker shit. We can't have. Can you imagine if Justin Fields called out Kyle Shanahan? Could you even imagine if Justin Fields called out Kyle? Oh my God. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen. He gone. They would have traded him so quick. They would have traded him faster than they traded Trey Lance. Would have traded him to the Bears. Let's see. Did I get all the questions? Yeah, we got it. We good. Let's see. Any other questions, comments, concerns? We are getting closer. The big topic that we opened up with, Trey Lance, right? What do you guys think? Do you think, what are your guys' thoughts on the whole Trey Lance giving intel to the Cowboys? People are calling him a snitch, a traitor. Some people call him a traitor. Like, what do you guys think? Do you think it matters that that Trey Lance is giving secrets, film secrets, giving certain type of personnel plays and personnel decisions and motion calls, and he's giving intel to the Cowboys? Do you think that matters? What are your guys' thoughts on it? It's interesting to hear what you guys think. I mean, again, in my opinion, I don't really think it matters because Kyle Shanahan, it's really hard to prepare for Kyle Shanahan because he's gonna throw some stuff that Trey Lance ain't never seen out there. So, Julia says, would you trade for Joey Bosa? Absolutely. To have the Bosa brothers would be amazing. That would be cool. I mean, what would I give up? Maybe I'll give up a couple of second rounders. I don't know if he's worth the first rounder anymore. He's got a lot of injuries. But, yeah, a couple good draft picks I'd give up for him. I would take Joey. I think he'd play with some fire next to his brother. All right, let's take a look at these comments. Throwback says it's Cap. Julia says the offense Shanahan gave Lance is different than what they gave Purdy. Good point. Hurricane says, Trey, who? Who that? Tori says, it don't matter at all. Blood Moon says, this whole big notion of that is even a big deal is laughable, to be honest. It is laughable. Like, again, to sit here and say that Trey Lance is going to give all the secrets Trey Lance is going to give every secret that Kyle Shanahan knows is silly to me. Like, 49ers, again, on their side of the table, they have Anthony Brown. Because of that notion is all you had to do is sign former players every week, right? All you have to do is go on the practice squad of a team and sign other players. And then you're the coach. All right, give me all the secrets. Give me all the secrets if you want to get paid this week, right? Like, it makes no sense, man. You got to study film. You got to know football. You got to know situational, football, right? Like, in certain situations, things are going to happen. Like, the game plays plays out a certain way, just because Trey's giving him information maybe that he might know, it doesn't mean that that's going to be the end all be all. Like, it's not like, oh, Dak, yo, before Dak goes on a play, Trey Lance is in his ear. Yo, Dak, look, Fred Warner, his foot is like 30 degrees to the right. I need you to throw a slant to CeeDee Lamb. That shit ain't going to matter. Come on. It's not like that's what's happening. Oh, man, I love it. I love it, though. I love that the media is making that a story. I knew that Trey was going to be part of this storyline some way or the other. And the fact that they're portraying him, Trey Lance as the rat, as Master Splinter. They're basically saying that Trey Lance is Master Splinter. He's the rat. You got to love that, man. It's so funny to me. Absolutely funny to me. So, we'll see. It's not going to matter. You can run multiple plays out of the same set, Tori. Absolutely 100%. See, Tori, you smart. It don't like you can line up into a certain formation, but it's not like it's going to be the same play that Kyle told him on the film. Like, Kyle's going to say, all right, we're going to line up on this play. You could probably run 10 different plays on that formation. You think Trey Lance going to know which 10 plays which one out of the 10 plays he's going to run? So, we'll see. Will I be out there with the Breezy Bunch at the Shoe Palace for the music video? Oh, I'm going to hit him up. Maybe we'll talk about it. I'll see what day it is. I don't know. I've been so busy. I haven't kept up with any of that. But I'll hit him up. Maybe I will. Tej beats the Bears or Washington. I got Washington tonight. Thoughts on this? Tom says, my fantasy, should I start Brock Purdy and sit Dallas defense or vice versa? Oh, that's good. What do you guys think? Help him out. That's a tough question. Should he start Brock Purdy? Or should he start the Dallas defense? Who's your other quarterback? That's the question. That's a good question. That is a great question. Is my daughter a Niner fan? Absolutely. She couldn't live here if she wasn't. Yeah, she's a Niner fan. She loves the Niners. Maybe not as much as me, but she does. There you go. We got Ray saying start Brock. We got Jaime saying start Brock. I mean, you got 2 votes for starting Brock. I think he's a safe pick to start. I think he can drop some points. I think he'll drop some points. Oh, we got breaking news right now. Sad news. Dick Butkus, legendary, has passed away at the age of 80. I just see that. That's sad. Dick Butkus has passed away at the age of 80. One of the best defensive players of all time, man. Rest in peace to Dick Butkus. That's sad. That's not a good way to end the stream. Let's have a 5-second moment of silence for Dick Butkus. Man, he was a legend. Sad to hear that. VZ, the internet is nice. Where you at? I'm over here at Los Gatos, new place. We got the highest Wi-Fi available for Xfinity. I got Xfinity Wi-Fi. They give me the highest service available. Since I got a new place, they upgraded my service, and I only got to pay $20 a month for it. It's great Wi-Fi. It's pretty good. Pretty quick, isn't it? I love it. Defense will fail you like they did with the Cards. You know what, Jaime? That's true. I feel like taking the Dallas Cowboys against the 49ers probably isn't the smart move, because of the fact is the Niners run. And the one area where the Cowboys have struggled, if they have struggled this year, is defending the run. Again, Cardinals, they dropped 222 rushing yards on the Cowboys when they played them. So take that information. Hopefully that makes it a little easier to bench them and start Brock Purdy. So Daniel Jones is your other quarterback, Tom. You got to start Brock Purdy. At this point, that's not even a question at this point. You start Brock Purdy. You drop Daniel Jones. You need to drop that man like yesterday. I feel bad for you. Danny Dimes. Whoo! Danny Dimes, your quarterback? Oh, woof. That's bad. Start Brock Purdy. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we are going to end the show. Appreciate you for all the support, for all the visitors, all the people that hopped in today, checking out the channel. Appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. Thank you for everybody for hopping on the YouTube. We'll be back a little later on Instagram. I might have a show. I think I got a show tonight with Bash, 49ers Minded. We'll be live tonight, so I'll be hopping on his channel a little later. So, yeah, you guys have a good rest of your night. I love you. Bang, bang. Nana gang.